missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In this week's episode I'm going to show you a color correction. So this is my client. She has some previously lightened ends. She did get a session done out at the salon, and then her second session of lightening she tried to lighten the ends at home, so that's why her ends look super brassy right now. So our goal today is to cut off some length, and then we are going to blend out her roots a little bit so that she can have a really soft grow out, and then try to relighten the ends if they can get a little bit lighter, because her hair did feel a little bit on the drier side. So my bet was that her ends weren't going to get too light just because they are a little bit drier. So we're going to go in and highlight her roots, try to relighten the ends a little bit, and give her a nice fresh cut. So lately whenever I highlight any of my clients, I like to detail their hairline now. So I'm going in and just doing a few detail pieces right at the hairline here, because when they put their hair up, I want this part to be nice and colored. So I'm going in just with like a little baby light here, and then doing another baby light. And when I do the baby lights on the hairline, I try to just match their shape of their hairline. So if their hairline is a little bit more narrow, I'll do a little bit more of like a triangle section. So just following their natural hairline and doing just a few detail pieces here. So my client's original goal was to be as blonde as possible. Her goal photo was pretty much a platinum balayage, but as you can see, considering what she has going on already, that's probably not gonna be the case today. So we're gonna work towards something that is pretty much lighter, and then maybe eventually if she wants to go more platinum blonde, she can. So today we're gonna work on just breaking it up. And since she has pretty much a level 2 or 3 natural dark root that's really long, she's probably just gonna leave with like a nice brown today to like lighten her up, blend everything out. So after those two detail pieces at the hairline, I go ahead and I start slicing horizontally up the head. And when I do this horizontal parting, I will go based off of wherever they part their hair. So in the back here, since I'm doing the back section, I'm going to do more of a center part, but if they part their hair off to the side, I'll gradually move this mohawk section according to wherever they part their hair, because I basically want these slices in this mohawk section to be the overlay on top of everything else, because everything underneath and on the sides of this mohawk section is going to be a bit more dimensional. And for my products, I'm using the Blonde Me Schwarzkopf Lightener like I always do on any of my clients who are naturally dark. I find that this lightener is very strong and powerful, yet it keeps the hair nice and healthy. So I'm going in with a first bowl of like 6 and 20. I mix that up equal parts, and then after that first bowl, I just use 20 volume for the rest of the head. So since I'm still working on the back here and I'm just slicing the head, I do leave a little bit more dimension in between my slices so that they give a nice blend with what she has going on. And then as I get towards the crown area, a little bit top of where her hair kind of parts and everything lays on top of the rest, my slices are going to get a little bit closer together. So that's going to mean that I have a little bit less dimension. It's going to make it look like she has more color on top. And since we're doing slices, slices give a more solid effect rather than a ribbon effect. So you got to imagine, since you're slicing the hair, that whole overlay that's been lightened, it's not piecey, it's just one sheet of hair. So as it overlays on top of the rest of the hair, it gives an illusion that it's kind of like a solid color. This also can create a nice ombre effect if you don't want to have like that dimensional look. So if you're looking to do something more solid but doing highlights, I would do slices like these. And then another reason why I chose to do slices is, I don't know if you guys can tell, but my client's hair she has a lot of hair. So I find that doing slices like this, it makes it a lot quicker for me to go through the highlights. Since we are going for a full transformation, she wants to be really bold and a lot lighter eventually. I find that slices is going to make it a lot easier for me to get there. So the next time when she comes in, I pretty much just have to find all the slices that I left out during this appointment. So all of that dimension that you see that I'm leaving out here is what I'm going to pick up next time. And since I'm slicing it, it's going to be really easy for me to see it because it's just a straight line, especially since I already know where my color placement is. So I feel like that's key, to always remember or have a certain pattern that you do on certain clients so that you can remember where to pick up from last time. Another key thing to really keep in mind whenever you're doing slices or any type of foil work too, so my client, her hair texture, it's like medium to coarse hair, and she is naturally wavy, so she has a lot of hair. I have to be very cautious to take paper thin sections. I want to be able to see through my slices so that I ensure that I get a really good lift. That is another reason why I like to use the Schwarzkopf Blonde Me, because I feel that the Schwarzkopf Blonde Me kind of gives a little bit of a swell to the lightener, and in this case that swelling is in my favor because it kind of makes sure that I fully saturate her hair, especially if a client has really thick hair. Sometimes that swelling of the lightener helps with making the lift really even. Alrighty, so you can now see that I'm getting closer towards the top. This is kind of her top crown area that is like a veil over the rest of her hair. So this part, you can see my sectioning is going to be a little bit closer together. I'm making sure that my slices are very clean and they're see-through and I'm fully saturating there. You can also see that I am adding in like lightening some of the ends. Since she did bleach her hair at home, the lightness and levels of the blonde that's on their ends are really inconsistent. Like some pieces were like a level 6 or 7, some pieces were like a level 8 or 9. So depending on each slice, I was using either the same lightener that I used at the root, or if it was like a level 8 or 9, I would use another lightener, which so for the other lightener, I was using the Pulp Bright Blonde F lightener. That lightener is a very gentle lightener and it does work slow. So for the ends, since they're already light, I wanted something that was very gentle and something that worked a lot slower than the Schwarzkopf Blonde Me lightener. So I mixed the Blonde F by Pulp Riot with some 6 volume so that they could lift pretty much at the same pace. And I will do this a lot of times with color corrections, especially if their ends are solid like this or they already have ends that are really light, and I want to kind of save time and lighten it as I'm foiling as well. So pretty much based off of whatever level each slice of the ends were is what determined which lightener I used to kind of relighten the ends. If I saw that the ends were like a level 6 or 7 and they're pretty dark and brassy, I would just kind of lightly use the Blonde Me lightener and kind of paint over those ends just a little bit. But if I needed something more gentle, of course I would have used the Pulp Bright Blonde F lightener. It just depended on whatever level her ends were or how healthy they looked. Some of the ends I didn't even lighten because they looked too dry in my opinion. So I just based it off of what I saw from each slice that I took. So once I move on to the money piece here, I am just going to be doing a few slices back to back. This is going to give her a nice bold face framing color piece in the front of her face, and since I'm slicing the back of the head with dimension, I'm just going to do slices back to back with no dimension for her money piece. And then for her money piece, I probably did about like 4 slices with no dimension back to back. So after I was done with her money piece, I moved on to the side sections, and then here you can see that after doing that whole mohawk section, this is pretty much how big my side section is, and she does have a lot of hair. So typically whenever I do this type of like foil placement, I always feel like it's really convenient for me to just do the sides all in one go and the back all in just one row as well, and it saves me so much time whenever I do like a full balayage like this. But it still gives me the same amount of color, it's just my pieces of sectioning is filling up the whole foil rather than splitting the back into two. So as I'm slicing the sides here, I'm not trying to make this part too solid. I do want a little bit dimension here so that when she curls her hair, she sees a bit of ribboning and pop, and this is going to give her a really nice grow out as well. So once I was done completely foiling her roots, I went ahead and started tipping out the ends of her hair. So I started brushing out the sections and taking like thin sections so that I can kind of see through them. And I'm just using the Pulp Bright Blonde AF lightener to kind of relighten the ends a little bit. And I'm just following the same pattern of where the blonde is. I'm not adding or going into the dark at all. I just want to brighten the ends to try and get some of this brass out so that it doesn't fade to this like orange color. And I'm using the Pulp Bright Blonde AF because I wanted something very gentle on the hair as well. And then you can also notice as I take each of the sections to kind of tip out, I am brushing and combing it onto the foil to make sure that the hair is spread out, and this is going to ensure that you get a really nice clean lift. So for her toner, I did use the Pulp Bright Liquid Demis, and for the root shade, I used 6-0, and then for the mids and ends, I used 7-8, 7-0, and 8-2, and I kind of just watched it because I wanted it just enough to kind of tone out all of the warmth, but try to keep it as light as possible, and you can see how beautiful the toner is kind of canceling out all of the warmth into a nice neutral tone. Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. The lighting wasn't great because the sun was literally setting at this time, but she did get a lot lighter than I expected, and we were able to give her a really nice, beautiful, neutral, ashy tone. I love how these slices give a really beautiful blend against how much dark she had. So this is gonna grow out really pretty, and as it fades out, it's gonna fade more on the blonder side, and hopefully when it fades out as well, it's not going to be as orange as it was when she came in. The ends are a lot lighter now and more blonde, so it is going to fade out a lot blonder, and I feel like she could just use like some purple shampoo at home to kind of cancel out some of the warmth before she comes back in for her next appointment. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.